Happy Magical Monday to you out there watching this right now. Also, if it's not Monday, whenever you see this is the exact time that you're supposed to, so don't stress it. And if it's something that resonates with you, view this as a way to help crystallize the concept so you can utilize it in your life and make big shifts. If you enjoy this video, please share it and like it as well. That being said, we'll jump into everything. So we're going to go through it this route. Everybody pick a card. These cards down here, you get the option of 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to give everybody at the beginning an oracle card, and I'm going to give a collective spirit animal card at the end as well. The cards that you select are going to be the one that has the most pointed message for you. The other cards that come up can still have relevancy for you. So if you enjoy the reading style, all of these cards can speak to you. And if something doesn't speak to you right away, I would suggest that you really filter it through and hold on to it for a bit and see if maybe there becomes some truth in it later on. That being said, we'll transition to the first card. The oracle card for this week is Alchemy. So a lot of us have heard the concept of alchemy as turning base metals to gold. Really, it's about shifting our perspective and transforming or transmuting rather these difficult experiences into our greatest gifts, in the sense that we can use them to help other people expand, evolve, overcome, and by doing so, we get what we give. And when we're giving other people these catalysts for change, it allows us to change further, and what propels other people forward allows us to propel forward. So we create this kind of forward momentum, and I don't want to use the term ascension because I don't think that's accurate, but increasing of awareness. And the more we increase others' awareness, the more our awareness increases. And it really is this feedback loop of fantastic, awesome sauce is the best way I would put it. Getting into the card or the colors of this card, so you have the purple. Purple is crown chakra, and it's kind of saying the alchemy is assisted by the universe, source consciousness, energy, love, God, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of the divine gift. Part of that divine gift, though, is stepping out of the way and allowing it to happen. One of the precursors for alchemy, too, and this is something that I've talked about previously on the podcast, and it's been my personal experience, maybe you can relate, is putrefaction. And it's a very unpleasant word, putrefaction, but it means kind of something getting bad to the point of it, like, beginning to decompose. And in other circles that might be called rock bottom, the tipping point, whatever you want to call it. But having that moment and saying, I'm no longer going to allow this to occur, I'm going to change it, is the precursor to alchemy. So some of us are going to be further along in the process, and we'll begin to see some results with the alchemy. Some of us will be hitting that putrefaction point. And if you're hitting that putrefaction point and you want to throw your hands up and kind of surrender and say, crap, I don't want to do this anymore, one thing that's super, super important to remember is everything's cyclical. So if you're going through something and you're in the depths of suffering, most likely you're going to be coming out of it as soon as you're going into it. You're going to be working through it. The only way that that isn't the case is if you become so hyper-focused on the suffering and not moving out of it. So when you remember the cyclical nature of reality, and which you can see that in the cycles of the season, the phases of the moon, the ebb and flow of tides, all of these cycles are represented. When you focus on the cycle and not the circumstance, you're going to liberate yourself into the alchemy of the process. That being said, we're going to go through the cards that are coming up, and we'll start with ones this time. So the World Tree comes up, and it's interesting that I had talked about the seasons because all of the seasons are represented on this World Tree card. And when you can begin to catalyze or crystallize this concept of you possess all of these changes and all of these cycles within yourself at any given time. It's going to take you to a card that we had last week, the Fool. So 21 is the end of the major arcana in tarot, and it kind of is the completion of the cycle. And when that cycle is over, it starts again on this sense of you go back to the Fool, but the Fool has more wisdom now, and they have this new experience that they carry into their openness moving forward. So you navigate through this maze at the beginning of the card to end up at the World Tree, to end up at the end of the cycle, the access point of reality, really. And you take the wisdom from the Tree of Life, from the World Tree, and you put it in your pocket, you instill it in your soul, and you can move forward with it. This is actually the result of alchemy, which begins the whole new alchemical process. I really feel that I can't expand upon that much more. That's a very, very powerful card, one, and it also relates to anybody else. If you connect with that energy, own it, and if you don't connect with that energy, think about why you don't, because there's some reason that you're kind of not tapping into it. You need to look into it. We're going to go to threes next, and it's Ace of Bows in the reverse. So bows are relative to creation. They are relative to fire, and this is called the spark of life, and it ties into the whole World Tree concept as well, but I'll get into that in a bit. So you are going to be accessing this resource of creativity. And the Ace of Bows is kind of like the most concentrated, purest expression of creative force. And alchemy, like, it reduces these things down to these pure forces. So you have this like concentrated pure creativity you can access. This will likely come from putrefaction, or if not from putrefaction, from the absolute refinement of your soul. There's going to be a lot of stuff that comes out of that you didn't think capable. And in that kindling of everything, in that spark of motivation, in that spark of creativity, in that spark of your heart, you're going to be kind of burning down all of these old barriers, opening up all of this new potential. And one thing about fire that we forget about, fire is incredibly destructive in some senses, but when it clears that space, new things can be put in there. The resulting ash of the fire can be beneficial for crops. There's this, again, this whole kind of cycle that's relative to it. So be ready for things to really, really shift for you coming up. Now we move to our twos, and you have the Green Woman. This would be the Empress in traditional tarot. In this deck specifically, there's a lot of this natural heart energy, because there's the green of her face, and there's also this kind of leafy vegetation going on. So this is kind of allowing yourself to step into the natural process of your heart, which unfortunately involves being vulnerable. And if you notice there's this water there that is placid in the cauldron. Water is a symbol of the emotions, and the way that you can access this natural state of your heart is by allowing your emotions to calm and settle. And I know that sounds counterintuitive to letting your heart be as it is. The main issue that we suffer with our heart is our cultural conditioning about how we're supposed to respond to rejection and attraction and all of that stuff. I would argue that that's not the natural way that we would function had we not been programmed that way. And I think that that's important to remember. When you can access your heart and your love and your compassion in a non-emotional way, you're going to get a way different experience about love and connection and respect. The other element of this card is the red. The red is really about infusing that heart into your material reality on a deep way, because red is relative to the root chakra. There's these little trinkets she has in her hands, and to me that's kind of about finding these, how do I want to put it? Focusing your intentions in ways that are meaningful, because to me they are representative of different energetic concepts that are valid to her. and she's kind of putting them into this soup or stew or her cauldron to reduce them to their purest essence. The other aspect of this, and I think that this is really, really, really important, is the fire in the cauldron. So the fire at the bottom of the cauldron, again, is creativity. And through creativity, we really get the opportunity to purify our emotions. And I think that is where I'm going to leave it. The other aspect of this, I guess, that I'll say as well is the green woman is all about feminine energy. So that's about fertility. That's about creating this space where things can grow, things can flourish, things can thrive. And then it's also about this concept of passivity. And that's feminine energy in general, and I don't mean women specifically. All of us have feminine and masculine energy, but it's this passive receptive type of energy that's associated with it, and kind of letting things grow, letting things thrive. And with that, we'll transition to the spirit animal card. And you got the otter. What a cute freaking card. So there's the element of the green in there, which is the heart chakra. There's the blue, which is, we'll say throat chakra and third eye chakra because there's different shades. So throat chakra is all about communication and listening. Third eye chakra is about like intuitiveness, connecting with things. And we'll also say, I'll say yellow too, sense of self. And this is kind of allowing yourself, like tapping into the green woman, allowing yourself to go with the flow. If I'm not mistaken, otters will hibernate as well. So they understand the cycles of everything, kind of like the world tree. And then there's also this aspect of creativity in the sense that they, if I'm not mistaken, they create burrows and all this stuff. So they are literally carving out their place in the world, which I think is very significant and substantial to respect. And in regards to alchemy, there's this quote by Alan Watts, and he talks about when you're fighting against the current of the water, like the flow of the universe, you're expending a considerable amount of energy, and you're not paying attention, and you're banging your head on the rocks. But when you begin to go with the flow of life, you have the universe pushing you in the direction that you want to go. And I think that the otter really embodies that concept. Not that they don't swim against stuff, because obviously they have to at times, but they've mastered the art of doing it in a way that's successful rather than just unintentionally thrashing about and getting nowhere. Now, real quick to kind of reduce this reading to its core principles, and this relates to everybody. In order to have alchemy, you need to have this concept of fire. You need to have this kind of creative drive to want to change things, which comes from the putrefaction process. Once you have that fire, you can use it to kind of purify your emotions, in the sense that if you boil water, it would purify it. And that's also kind of the putrefaction process. That is the boiling part of it. And then letting it still is kind of the after effect, which would be the passivity element of the green woman. The fertility of that really is relative, again, to the ash of the creativity. The leftovers of that allows new things to kind of spurt forth. And the world tree is representative of that whole process, of the cycle of alchemy, of the cycle of transformation. And I want to say I'm going to drop the mic on that because I'm pretty impressed with how I presented that all to you. But what I will say is, if you want to get a personal reading, you can go to oracle@mushin.com. This will be about you specifically, and I have all sorts of different readings. I also offer Reiki and coaching. And if you're interested in getting a 50% off coupon, sign up for my newsletter. I will email you the 50% off coupon, and that's good for any service. I offer a money-back guarantee, which is unprecedented in this industry. And then you'll get weekly or semi-regular emails about deals, discounts, flash sales, exclusive readings, and all sorts of other amazing tidbits. And I don't intend to spam you or send you crap that you don't want. I don't like that, and I don't want to do that to you. Yeah, if you like this video, share it with people. Leave me a comment if you have a specific question as well, and I will strive to answer specific questions for people moving forward. Thank you so much. Peace.